What's up, Star Wars fans? Today I want to talk about the Book of Boba Fett Episode 3. I asked you, the community, what you thought about this episode, and as always, you came through with some great predictions. So let's get into our first prediction posted on the community tab. It's from Axe to the Max, and he states, this next episode is when things really start to kick off. We get to see Boba in more fight scenes as he tries to keep his new territory from the Hutts. Meanwhile, in his flashbacks, Boba has learned the way of the Tusken Raiders and has earned their trust and acceptance. Boba and the tribe will start many more battles to protect their land from new trespassers. And Axe to the Max, great prediction as always. I think there's a very good chance that we are going to see more conflict with Boba in the present day, fighting to maintain his new territory as you stated. I honestly think though, when it comes to the flashbacks, that there's going to be a lot less in this episode, and that it's simply going to be seeing Boba Fett finding Fennec Shan and what happened during that time. But as always, thanks for that, Axe to the Max. Let's move on now to Darth Ryan. He states in the comments, in episode 3, I think we will be more focused on the present, as the past has been a big part of these last two episodes, and we are almost up to date on Boba's history between Return of the Jedi and Mando. Once the flashbacks end, then he will be fully healed and will no longer need the Bacta tank. In present day, Boba will be rallying his forces to support, including Jabba's former generals, and trying to help them keep control, but some will disagree. I think we will mainly see the stages and preparation for a turf war with Boba in the Hutts. And thanks for that, Darth Ryan. It certainly seems like from the trailers that is what we're going to get. We're going to see Boba Fett meeting with some of his generals, but I certainly hope that we get some action in present day and that we actually get to see some of that turf war happening in episode 3. But hey, big thanks for that comment, Darth Ryan. Let's move on to Arav GP. He states on the community tab, we see Sophie Thatcher's character, who is part of a street gang, but she's taken under the wing by Boba and he becomes her mentor. I also think from this point forward in the series we get at least one bounty hunter per episode, and in this one I think we get IG-88. Yeah, cool prediction. I really like the idea of this Sophie Thatcher, her character actually being mentored by Boba. I think that's a cool one, and if we get to see IG-88 in this episode, I think that'd be pretty cool too. And not to mention just seeing a lot of different bounty hunters showing up in each of these remaining episodes. Well, that makes a lot of sense to me too. Agrav GP, thank you. But that said, let's move on to Jack Smith. He states on the community tab, I think that we are going to see tragedy befall the Tuskens as the biker gang and or Pikes will get revenge and Boba will potentially get back Slave One. In the present, I think the Hutts will make good on their promise for Boba to sleep lightly. Maybe seeing another bounty hunter or two show up. And Jack Smith, that definitely sounds fantastic. I'd love to see Fennec Shan and Boba Fett squaring off against somebody like IG-88 or maybe even Bosk. Plus, it does make a lot of sense that the Pikes are going to fight back against the Tusken Raiders and maybe even that biker gang as well. Certainly, Jack, if your prediction is on target here, that's going to be an action-packed episode. But moving on here, we also have JetBlast 190. He states on the community tab, it seems like the power struggle will be with the Hutts. Boba and Fennec will start to recruit allies to their side in a build-up to an eventual confrontation with the Hutts that will settle the matter for good, while Boba will try to establish a syndicate based on respect. In other words, respect for his position as daimyo. He and Fennec won't shy away from demonstrating their power and forming their syndicate alliance. We'll also continue to get flashbacks to his time spent with the Tuskens and his search for his armor and Slave One. We may get to see how he recovers Slave One in Chapter 3, but I'm thinking that will most likely happen in Chapter 4. And some great speculation here from JetBlast 190. I believe you're right, it will be Chapter 4 that Fennec Shan and Boba Fett will find the Slave One. There was actually a very brief clip in the trailers that saw both of them finding Slave One, so it makes sense that in Chapter 3, Boba Fett is going to find Fennec, and then together, maybe in Chapter 4, they're going to be tracking down Slave One. At least that's the earliest I think it could happen. But thanks for all that, JetBlast 190. Let's move on to the Medieval Man 9. He suggests on the community tab, like Axe to the Max, I think this is the episode when things start to kick off. We're going to have have less of the flashbacks, I think, but what we will get is something that's far more impactful. We'll finally get the reason why Fett has decided he should take over Jabba's operations. And I suspect a major reason for it will be because the Pikes, the Hutts, and another faction, I'm thinking Crimson Dawn, are all in a three-way war to control Tatooine, forcing Fett to try and settle things by filling the power vacuum himself. I also think this is when we find out there's far more to Gareth Fwip, the Jennifer Beals character, and that she will be either a significant ally or enemy depending on which side offers her more. And some fantastic speculation as always, Medieval Man 9. I really like the idea of exploring more why Boba Fett is doing all this. Why exactly is he trying to replace Jabba the Hutt? I think we've been given some small hints about this already, and it mostly comes down to the fact that Boba Fett was left for dead, as he says in the show, and that has really opened his eyes to the injustices of Tatooine. He sees farmers in episode 1 being robbed by that biker gang. He sees that same biker gang taking advantage of a local watering hole, the one we know as Tachi Station, and he sees the native people of Tatooine, these Tusken Raiders, being shot for no particular reason by the Pike Syndicate as they're running spice through the Tusken Raiders territory. That topic I might actually explore in another video, Medieval Man 9, so thanks for your prediction and thanks for that inspiration. But moving on here, we got another comment on the community tab from Bobby V. He states, "I'd like to see Black Karstantin fight Boba, but I think it's a little too soon. We still haven't seen the biker that Sophie Thatcher is playing yet, so she'll be in this episode. She will be connected to the gang that Boba took the bikes from at Tachi Station." Yeah, Bobby, there's definitely something happening with that biker gang. I mean, we've seen evidence of that in the trailer, and it makes sense that it's going to be in the next episode. I'm just guessing, but I think the trailers have probably only covered the first 3 episodes. And I also would like to see Black Karstantin fighting Boba Fett in episode 3, and unlike you, I think the chances of that happening are actually pretty high. I mean, there's probably going to be more than one bounty hunter that they send after Boba, so it could be next episode we see that face-off. But thanks for that, Bobby V. Moving on next here, we got the Brownsville TX Prophet, and they state on the community tab, "I'm foreseeing a meeting with the former captains under Jabba's rule, ones that broke away under Bib Fortuna and several other crime syndicate heads or representatives. This along with a small skirmish and more back to healing flashbacks. I believe we're going to see a clear Pike Syndicate response to the train incident, perhaps a tracking down and interrogation of the Jawa tribe that stole his armor, and even when he encounters Fennec Shan." And cool thoughts there, Brownsville. And I never really thought of Boba tracking down the Jawas. That's a really cool prediction, something that I hadn't anticipated but makes a lot of sense. And as far as that response goes from the Pike Syndicate, yeah, I think that could totally wipe out that Tusken Raider group and would only reinforce what I was saying earlier about Boba Fett and how he's now seeing all these injustices on Tatooine, and now because he had this near-death experience, he wants to try and change Tatooine for the better. But hey, Star Wars fans, that's all I got for you today. Thank you to everyone for sharing your comments on the community tab. As always, I'm Mike, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.